iPad A5 with latest iPadOS 26, a keyboard, a mouse, and a cheap pencil from AliExpress, and you've got basically the entire setup that powers most of my workflow, ranging from development to creative work. And I'm going to show you exactly how I achieve that.
Full disclaimer, it hasn't fully replaced my PC for web development jobs, but I'm going to show later in the video how it comes really close.
I'll start with how I plan and structure my ideas, and for that I use Miro. Miro is an always online tool that grants you the ability to visualize your ideas in most formats possible, and it's very similar to Freeform for iOS and FigJam for Figma. I have used it to create a couple of mind maps of how I wanted something to be linked, a flowchart, and most recently a mock-up for the portfolio I've been rebuilding, and I've been loving every bit of the experience so far.
You're also going to love the app if you work in teams because the main point of Miro is team collaboration and planning. Don't know if that makes sense.
The next thing I do a lot on my PC that this little iPad has completely taken over is video editing, and I'm going to give you a bit of backstory. The PC I used isn't particularly spec jacked. It's an HP with an Intel i7 8th generation CPU and 16 gigs of RAM, and it surprisingly handled editing 4K videos in Premiere Pro OK with the preview turned to have for quite a while.
Now, I'm definitely not a rich man, so after a few months of Adobe punching me below the belt, I decided to explore my options,
Ultimately narrowing it down to the MG Resolve. I installed it on my PC and well, well, here's a video that perfectly summarizes everything. I do know I could still do stuff like using ProSix and turning down the timeline resolution to half or maybe even quarter for better performance, but I decided it wasn't worth the hassle. Enter the iPad and this is a video, a 4K video shot on my iPhone, and I'll be editing it on this 4K timeline. I won't turn on any prosy effects, I will leave the playback resolution to full, and this is how it plays back. And this performance you see right now is very consistent even when I apply most color grade, and I think I've only seen it stutter when I use very heavy effects, which is almost never, so yeah, easy pick. Also, with latest iPadOS 26 and the addition of the menu system, just like on Mac when you hover near the top of the screen, it makes accessibility and using the app much more easier. Now I do have to create thumbnails for the channel, and the story is almost similar to the video editing one, with the only exception being that my PC can handle Photoshop, but I'm too broke to pay for that creative cloud. Even if I wasn't, I still wouldn't be paying 12,000 naira for a dumbed down version of an amazing software, even though the hardware it's been ported on is just as capable. As usual, I explored my options, which was ultimately narrowed down to Affinity Photo. I paid the 30,000 naira one-time payment required for it after the 7-day free trial, and I could confidently stand tall at a mountain peak to scream that this is my most noteworthy purchase of the year so far. And at this point, I am fully convinced that you can almost recreate everything you created in Photoshop here in Affinity, with the exception of the AI jargon of course. I've also tried recreating many Photoshop tutorials, and while I do have to search around for some particular effects or replacements for that effect, everything eventually falls into place. You can also import your PSD Photoshop files here, which make this pick a no-brainer. Figma is a web app I use quite a lot on my PC for designing websites, and here on the iPad it works just the same. I tried countless times to use it without a keyboard and mouse and gave up each time because using Figma on the web is very dependent on the keyboard shortcuts. Before I get started on the method that works when I want to develop websites on my iPad,
please drop a like and maybe subscribe to help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers for the year. No pressure, dude.
the method only works for GitHub on the web, and it's actually very simple. I'm going to be assuming you already know how to create a repo for the site you'll be creating, and all you have to do is head into that repo, right click on the green code drop down and select create code space on main. Wait a few seconds and GitHub will create a cloud-based environment that mirrors what you typically see locally on VS Code. It will also automatically install all packages that is needed for your code to run smoothly. Now don't get me wrong, the idea and implementation of using the iPad as a fully fledged PC is definitely still not perfect. Heck, if I had a more powerful PC and some stable electricity, I might not even have attempted to try, but my situation dictates it as such, and for now, till a foreseeable future, it's going to serve just fine. Now YouTube thinks you might want to watch this video next, so see if they are right. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.